This is the Ruckus and the Menace.
Challenge accepted.
No. Oh, no! We suck again!
I'm getting confused. What game are you calling?
I'm calling both games.
It is caught by Kelsey! Touchdown! Kansas City!
There you go.
There it is.
There's a winner. Look at that.
Back.
Say what again? Say what again? I dare you. I double dare you,
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ruckus and the Menace podcast number 171. I am Ruckus always. Maybe. Just, maybe causing a ruckus.
I'm Spanish the Menace, and the NFL and CBS were trying to partner up on a deal for a season of Survivor where the location would be the ground. When it was being pitched, they tried to have Jeff Probst host the show, but he couldn't understand the explanation. That's okay. Roger Goodell and the Rules Committee couldn't understand it either.
What?
Oh, that just tells you that surviving the ground is too convoluted, even if the NFL was going to try and do a special called NFL Survivor the Ground.
What?
Why are these sounding like Lil Jon?
Because I don't know what the is going on. It almost sounds like Stephen A. Smith when the Burrow be jerky goes. He's like, oh, Birdo! Anyways, let's keep going. Let's keep going.
All right. Let's get into the Eastwood segment before this time devolves any further.
All right. Give me a second. All right. What is good this week, Mr. Spanish the Menace?
College football's national championship, for the first time ever, goes to Bloomington, Indiana, as the Indiana Hoosiers win their first ever national championship, defeating the Miami 27-21. Yeah, 27-21.
Yep.
In Miami, or pretty much at Miami, so the U had a home game pretty much, and didn't even do that. But this is the first time that a brand new team has won the national championship.
I thought
Since
it was
the
going to be
funny
Bama.
gun-
I thought it was Bama, but
No,
anyways,
this is the first time in 30 years that it's happened.
interesting.
As the last team to do it, and I, as a Washington fan, have some PTSD in saying this name, Steve Spurrier, and the Fun and Gun Florida Gators in the mid-90s.
I didn't realize this at first, but when my coworker told me about the Nick Saban coaching tree, I didn't realize Kirby Smart and Kurt Cinetti and all those guys were part of that. I thought that was very interesting. I just thought they were all independent and they just had more luster, but that must have been propaganda from the college football advertisements.
I mean, that tells you how deep the rabbit hole of a Nick Saban coaching tree goes. It's plain and simple. And what is not so good in football this week?
I might be a dirty Chiefs fan that is raging against the machine because the NFL really painted a picture that was shitty for us. But, oh, by the way, the Broncos. You know how those Broncos are doing so well. It's not like we did this to the Chiefs last year. And maybe I'm a little salty because we didn't win the Super Bowl, but at this point, who gives a shit? Because the Broncos are playing without Bo Nix for the rest of the season due to him fracturing his little ankle. Oh. poor guy.
Yeah.
And then Jared Stidham's coming in like, come on, what are we doing here, Broncos? There was some AI stuff going on about Philip Rivers being a Broncos quarterback. It's like, no, get him out of here. He already jumped ship. But also, there was a joke about Tom Brady being a Broncos quarterback,
Oh,
and I'm just like,
we've been seeing the jokes ever since. And this has even gotten to the point that Nick Foles has said, "Oh, the Patriots struggle against backup quarterbacks."
oh, is it really a joke if Philip Rivers comes back? Because I don't know. I don't know whether it's AI or if it's just something
QB
else.
Grandpa's still under contract right now for the Indianapolis Colts.
Anyways, let's keep going.
And the downright ugly this week is that there were dozens of people charged in a point shaving scheme in college hoops. Now, there were no major schools in the Power Four. So there was nobody in the SEC, nobody in the Big Ten, nobody in the ACC, nobody in the Big 12. But there were tens of thousands of dollars involved in this. So it was mostly a lot of like mid majors. Like the closest end of it was probably the Sun Belt, but it wasn't anything. It was a lot of smaller schools in the scheme.
Could this be a anti-campaign towards the college football playoff expanding because this could also happen to them, especially because they're a more highly valued target compared to March Madness would be?
March Madness is always college hoops has always had something along like
I'm just putting that
basketball
out
has
there because we've been kind of debating it left and right here and there. So I was
yeah,
just kind of
I think
curious.
I think this is a reason that I think you could see a lot of that be kept down. Like instead of going for maybe 24, you maybe have it either stay at 12 or go up to 16. But the problem is that this is sports betting. And sports betting seems to happen no matter where you end up. It
Yeah, it's
just so
just kind
happens
of
that
a
these point shaving,
transaction per second
yeah,
and an attention span, which is dwindling.
yeah. I mean, you're going to see it almost no matter where you go. But this is the first time I've seen anything like this in years.
It's also just not really a shock to me, but also it could happen. But I'm just like, okay, at this point, I don't really give a shit. Like, there's so many commercials for betting apps and services where they're like, oh, we'll give you a higher pot, and you don't have to worry about the expenditures. And it's just like, really? You're just another sports book, and you're trying to get money off of it because that's where the money is right now. Anyways,
All right. So, with that said, we now will move into a recap of the NFL's divisional weekend and our high heat with a blending, and we will transition to it as we go along with our first half of our color commentary. Our first game here is the Denver Broncos defeating the Buffalo Bills 33-30 in overtime. And this one here on Saturday night was a great way to open the weekend. This game did feature some questionable calls that we'll get to. And even Gene Steratore was explaining stuff well. And the game did shift to Denver at the end, much to Ruckus's chagrin.
they got kicked in the nuts. That's all I'm going to say. Bills fans, you should have had Josh Allen in the AFC Championship fending off against the Patriots, and it would have been a glorious game. But no! That's all my jargon.
All right, but here is what is going to be the major pieces of this. As we shift to our color commentary segment called Good Call, Bad Call, we're going to start with the take here on the major pivotal play that shifted this game. So, 3rd and 11 in overtime. Josh Allen throws the ball deep down the field to Brandon Cooks. Jaquan McMillan is there in coverage. Both of them seem to simultaneously get at least some sort of feel for the ball. They roll over the top. Each of the players all of a sudden go down to the ground, roll over the top of each other. Ball never touches the ground. And the ball ultimately is in the hands of Jaquan McMillan. Carl Cheffer's crew for this game says that Cooks did not survive the ground, but Jaquan McMillan did in this. The rolling on the field is an interception. Gene Steratore agreed. The question is the call of an interception here a good call or a bad call in your eyes?
I don't know how to feel because Brandon Cooks in general at this point in his career has not been super reliable, but he's just been a guy that can speed around, but he doesn't really have much control. So I don't know how to justify Brandon Cooks being the guy when they had Keon Coleman, which they completely just disintegrated him from the game, even though, yeah, he dropped a few balls, but come on. You have a younger guy out there that you're paying probably more than Brandon Cooks combined in a futuristic sense just to not get someone else that's better. I don't think Brandon Cooks is the answer. I don't even think Amari Cooper was the answer last year, but I digress. Um, I don't think you interpret it with Brandon Cooks making a catch. It's mainly just what happened with Jaquan McMillan, where he was just like he took the opportunity to do it. There you go. That's my answer.
Yeah. It comes down to that the definition of surviving the ground is rather convoluted in interpretation. And this is also in the argument of the definition of a catch. Because the reason why some people think it's wrong and that the Buffalo Bills got screwed over was that Cooks, his knee touches. McMillan doesn't necessarily have possession of the ball, and they say that it is ripped from him. But because both feet were not touching, there was no additional football move that Cooks could have made. Because we will mention this earlier or later in talking about another catch that has a similar situation. Similar, but not the same. The difference is that both players are falling down. They roll over the top of each other. The ball never touches the ground, so it is still live. It is still a live ball. Cooks lacked a sense of urgency as he was going through his rollover to retain possession of the ball. Cooks had possession on the way down, but did not retain it on the rollover. And that is how Jaquan McMillan came away with the football. I believe that Gene Steratore did explain it correctly and in a very concise way that this play was indeed an interception. Does this do any favors for Josh Allen? No, but you cannot fully blame Josh Allen for the throw that led to the interception because that was probably the only place that Brandon Cooks would have been able to make that catch solidly without having any outside related thing. Had the
They did,
ball touched the ground completely, that's more of an incomplete pass. They tried to apply simultaneous possession rules, but Cooks and McMillan on the rollover, both players did not have possession of the ball. If both players had possessed the ball and made it a tie, the tie would have went to Cooks.
and they probably already fumbled the bag at that point too. No pun intended.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. The Bills' turnovers did not help their cause at all. But I think that play ultimately caused the Bills' defense to come unglued. As we get to the second point, some conflicting pass interferences. Tre'Davious White gets called for a PI on one to move the ball up the field, but a similar play, Riley Moss was not called for pass interference. I am in the camp that Steratore with Gene Steratore. I would not have called the first pass interference, but there was also a roughing the passer on the play, which the remainder of yardage that would have involved 2 yards. It was just a 2 yard difference, so it's almost negligible. But the second one, Tre'Davious White had two pass interference penalties. The second of which put the Broncos into the red zone along with another penalty. So the second one, do you think that one was a good call or a bad call?
I think overall for the pass interference as a whole for both teams was very. It just seemed second wind in a sense where at first they didn't really call it, and then eventually they got a better uh, look at it, and we're like, oh shit, we should have been probably calling this, but we're gonna try and do a better job, but we can't because we didn't pay attention before. But I don't know how to judge that based off of the confidentiality with uh, NFL refs. I don't know the playbook, and I don't care to. It just seems a little shady. That's all.
I will say this. The second pass interference, the one that ultimately Tre'Davious White was super mad over, the second one was definitely pass interference. Because if you watch that play back, he gets there way too early. Like he's about a half a second too early. And that one was the 30-yarder. The 17-yarder that he had earlier, yes, I would have had a little more leniency with it because that was the very similar play that Riley Moss had with both players jockeying for position on the ball. I'd keep the flag in the pocket on that.
Okay.
But the second one was blatant.
For sure. I don't think he made his case right in the negative context that he did where he smashed his helmet. Like, come on, dog.
Yeah.
Like, you
Oh,
gotta keep it together.
oh yeah. I mean, the second one where he was trying to do that, you didn't have a case. You didn't have a case. I'm sorry, you just didn't.
Yep.
And to conclude Saturday night, in very anticlimactic fashion, the Seattle Seahawks defeated the San Francisco 49ers 41-6.
Can you repeat
And
that, please, for Saul T. Waters?
The Seattle Seahawks, in very anticlimactic fashion, defeated the San Francisco 49ers 41-6.
Can you say that again one more time, please? Thank you.
What? Wait, are you doing this because he's a 49ers fan?
I don't know. You asked me. And I say I neglect to answer, and you should please just say it one more time, and I'll quit asking. I promise.
The Seattle Seahawks, in very anticlimactic fashion, defeated the 49ers 41-6. And I believe that the Seahawks are showing that they are not one to question in the NFC, especially with defense. This game was something a little more slight for them, as the 49ers had definitely were battered and broken before arriving for this game.
Oh! You couldn't have said it any better.
Oh, I I give absolute props to the 49ers for being as resilient as they had been all season.
By doing this, that was pretty much all they were doing, was just coughing up a lung. And once Nick Bosa was gone, it was just like, okay, we'll see how this goes. And then, oh, Fred Warner's gone. Oh no, call the doc. And then we just kind of quit giving a shit for a little bit there, and then it was just like, oh no, Kittle. God forbid.
With the exception of Christian McCaffrey, that engine of the 49ers was running on zip ties, duct tape, and every other MacGyvered part in the world that you could think of.
And I feel like for the Chiefs, that was more just chloroform and just forgetting about what's happening now and the good old days of yore. And obviously, we were drunk, or we were high on our own supply of happiness as how well the team was going, and then we got royally screwed on our own supply. I will admit that right now. You are welcome. The NFL's welcome. Let's make this upside down come back up, because Jesus Christ, I hate this season. I hate what happened. And yes, I would rather have the Bills win. But at this point, we can't change what happened, and also screwed the Broncos.
At this point, right now, for the final four teams, especially because the Patriots, who we will talk about next, we have now found that the Patriots are becoming somewhat likable again.
I would rather have the Patriots win over the Broncos, because Drake May better be Drake May, better be Drake May, better be Drake May. Drake May. You know, Drake May, May, May. Drake May.
You're making him sound like a Pokemon again.
Drake May. PK Fire!
Have you? Wait, PK Fire, that's Ness.
Just go along with the bit. It's okay. I can do whatever I want. I am Ruckus.
I understand what you were trying to go with, but that is definitely not the same Nintendo game.
It don't matter.
That's just the nerd in me talking here. But the Patriots defeat the Texans 28-16. And the Patriots defense is underrated. But Houston's offense, I think, was more that their mistake-prone tendencies have hurt them in more games than not.
I think here's the thing.
It also does not help that CJ Stroud's two best receivers were also out with injury.
It doesn't even matter at that point, because they had Justin Watson, they had some other guys, but even then, like, the problem, I think, besides the interceptions, was just I don't know if really you would say that the environment was the adjustment, but I just think, like, maybe the defense just, I guess, didn't have adjustment to it. But at the same time, I think the Texans in general just had a rough game in their divisional and couldn't execute at the proper times. And honestly, it's home field advantage at that point, but I just figured the Texans would at least have a edge on their defense because the Patriots haven't really showed that. But for the Texans, it's like we obviously know that Will Anderson Jr. and Daniil Hunter can come and kick ass and take names like they advertised it, and clearly that didn't happen. I don't know if it's environment based or if it's just literally the Patriots just took advantage of that and went on, but we'll just have to see how that plays out in the championship.
No, here's where I'm gonna say that I think you make the argument that the Houston offense lost them that game. The defense did solid, and there's one play that I am gonna mention here. Late, like it the dagger touchdown to put the Texans out of range. If you watch that catch back from Kayshawn Booty, that catch was not Booty. That was a that was that was a spectacular catch. If you look at that, if you look at the ball and where that was placed and where Kayshawn Booty caught it, that was an amazing catch. But you do not turn the ball over 5 times with 4 of them being interceptions from CJ Stroud and expect to win a football game like that.
It seems
You
like a
just
speed
don't.
run at this point with Allen, the guy that you just mentioned, CJ Stroud, and like a few others. Like it feels like a speed run of just how quick it is for you to get picked off or be able to make a pass to someone in a short
Oh,
amount of
there was
time.
a throw. The touchdown pass that or the touchdown interception return, the pick six. Oh man, had CJ Stroud actually done something sound with the football and just knew when to give it up, knew when to just kind of get outside the pocket and throw it away or something like that. Oh yeah, that play should have never been. But
Let's keep
Drake
going
May
on.
did have his but Drake May did have his own issues with turnovers,
Yep.
as he did have an interception, and there were a lot of fumbles in that game too. If you consider the amount of fumbles, the Patriots lost 2 fumbles from Drake May, but May had 4 fumbles on his own. I mean, there were a good amount of fumbles. May threw an interception. CJ Stroud threw 4 interceptions. Woody Marks lost a fumble. Drake May lost 2 fumbles. So, I mean, this game defensively, both teams did their job. It was just that Stroud throwing 4 picks to Drake May throwing 3 touchdowns and 1 pick was the biggest difference in the game. And then, last but not least, a fantastic finish again. You began with overtime, you end with overtime as the Rams defeat the Bears 20-17 in overtime as Caleb Williams throws a costly interception to have the Rams drive the ball down the field and pick up the victory. My thought is the Bears have potential, but when playoff time comes around, potential only gets you so far, as actual talent is what it's taken for you to take over.
I think um
Where are you going here, Ruckus?
all right,
Ruckus?
sorry. I'm here. Sorry. For the Bears, I think they definitely had the treatment of what the Patriots did to the Chiefs, but at the same time, I don't think the Rams are really as realistic as what the Patriots would have been if you used AI to make an algorithm for them winning with Tom Brady and his elite crew. But I think the Rams got super lucky with Mevis, and for the Bears, I think they had what it takes, but at the same time, like the Rams kind of capitalize on it. They have younger guys, whereas the Bears have somewhat younger guys, but like they're not well known.
I think the Bears are a younger team. Like
Right.
the names for the Bears are younger, but the names for the Rams are more skilled. That's why I was saying that there's potential in what the Bears have,
Yep.
but potential only gets you so far when the talent level of the Rams is the thing that has pushed them ahead.
Yep.
And now we will move on to the film room. And after the national championship game, it is still a 15-point lead for me as I have now crossed the 130-point mark. Ruckus crossed 120, but it is a 15-point mark with really only 20 points left up for grabs.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. So, our conference championships in the AFC, the Patriots and the Broncos. And we both have chosen.
I'm going with the Patriots because I want Drake May to beat the absolute snot out of what? Who's the quarterback? Huh? You're telling me it's Stidham? Shit! That's how I feel about the Broncos right now because I would have rather had it be the Patriots and Bills, but you know what? You don't always get what you want, and the Rolling Stones have a song about that if you try some time. You just might find you get what you need. And I want the Patriots to fuck up the Broncos. You're welcome.
I also, on the safe side, am going to take the Patriots here. I believe that the Patriots now have the offense to be able to keep up. All the matter that is going to be the biggest difference is how well Drake May secures the football and the Patriots offense in that and not turning it over. The Seahawks and the Rams, the NFC title. And I believe we both are also in agreement here.
How long has it been since the Seahawks faced the Patriots in a Super Bowl?
11 years, Super Bowl 49.
What if I
That was
told
the
you that would be the case if I had my way? But either way, I'm picking the Seahawks because the Rams, they are using stolen valor, and the Seahawks are going to expose them for it, just like they did for the Niners. For the Niners,
that would
it was different because of the defense of talent diminished quickly.
just so you're aware, the last time that the Patriots and Seahawks played the Super Bowl against each other, which was the only other time, that was the game where Russell Wilson threw it away at the 1 yard line.
Okay, well, Russell Wilson is not equal to Sam Darnold in this equation. We'll just see what has to happen.
You
What
say
if,
that like
what
as
if,
if
dude? What if it turns into like a Jared Goff situation where Sam Darnold is like the Jared Goff of the Rams, and Drake May is like the Tom Brady for that scenario, and the Patriots win anyways, regardless of how we like to see it in the NFL apocalypse script that is the existence of the National Football League.
I am going to say that I think I will be rooting for, unless the Broncos pull something out of nowhere, I probably will be rooting for the NFC in the Super Bowl.
Probably me too, because if the fucking Broncos get their way, they're gonna get to the Super Bowl with some dead ass quarterback that hasn't played in a couple seasons, God forbid. You're better off with Philip Rivers or some other guy, but Jesus Christ, this whole NFL season has been ups and downs, and it's been more downs than ups. And yes, I am a dirty Chiefs fan, and I want the Chiefs to get a chance to be successful, but so does every other team. And sometimes it just feels wrong seeing other teams, especially if they don't deserve it, like the Broncos, to get the same treatment that the Chiefs got last season, but at the same time, Jesus, what has this league become when it comes to the coaches being fired? And a lot of them. It's not just like one or two. Now it's just like a whole monopoly. Let's keep going.
We will get to the openings here
I'm
in a
cooking.
bit. But the first point that we're going to have here is, I would give you a hard time about you being desperate for Chiefs success when you'd been having Chiefs success the whole way. And the person who should be more desperate for team success is me, because my team has been absolutely irrelevant for God knows how long.
But it was ill-advised,
but
whereas the Chiefs, it was ill-advised on the GM, but at the same time, we weren't cooking the books like Dan Schneider. So
yeah.
you're
But at this
welcome, but
point here,
anyways, let's
but
keep
here at
going.
this point, we move on to our stud and dud of the week.
I'll go
And Ruckus,
first.
I'll let you roll, because yours are about last night.
And last night was a great night of boredom, but also just waiting to see what would happen, and then passing out, and then realizing that Indiana won the college football playoff. And my favorite thing about this is my stud for this week is Kurt Canetti getting a lifetime supply of beer from a local brewery. And I think that's pretty badass. As long as he likes it, cool with me. It's kind of like last year with the Super Bowl 59 champs being the Eagles, and Saquon giving the O line beer. Like, cool. It helps the players relax a little bit after a hard day's work, and good for them. My dud is not so good. So speaking of drinking, uh, tailgating. Well, if you wanted to tailgate at the college football playoff in Miami, of all party places, the parking passes for the playoff are over $700. You could probably could have used that money on rent or bills or food or really anything else. But some people are spending that exorbitant amount of money just in parking for being at the college football playoff. But imagine the ticket prices of just being in the nosebleeds. Is it really fucking worth going to the college football playoff unless you get a trust fund advance or donate your kidney to the cause? That is where I stand.
You could probably buy PC RAM at that price.
Okay,
You could
selling a
buy a
kidney, got it.
PS5 at that price.
All right, selling another kidney, PS5. Check.
Ruckus, you're at the point right now where you don't even have a kidney left if you're going through the parking for that, and also getting PC RAM.
Well,
And
shit,
or
I
a
must be dead.
PS5.
I must be a dead man, or fake my death, or um, become president of the United States. I don't know what else we could do.
Digression aside, my stud goes to the Bucks quarterback Baker Mayfield for taking an approach of the Kevin Stefanski hire very similar to Barney Stinson. Challenge accepted. In response to a tweet saying that he failed in Cleveland, calling failure quite a reach, even as he had not received a text or call from Stefanski as he was being shipped out.
He was
And is
just
looking
baking in
forward to
anger.
facing, and he's looking forward to facing Kevin Stefanski twice a year. And I'm gonna say, and cook him, or I should say, and bake him both times, God willing.
Dude, he's on the setting of Papa John's where they're like, "Do you want your crust well done?" And that's well done for Baker, as some would say that that's an edible for now.
Oh man, he has already said, "Bring it on," and I like it because the NFC South has not had a lot to really write home about over the past couple of years, and Baker Mayfield has been doing exactly that for Tampa. Carolina's coming around. New Orleans was finally coming around near the end. Atlanta's Atlanta. So I think the NFC South could be very interesting next football season. And this is only just the tip of the iceberg. My dud goes to none other than Tre'Davious White for the snowball effect leading to the Bills defense unraveling in that shoulda, woulda, coulda of the Bills beating Denver.
It kind of reminded me of the time when we got revenge on the Bengals when Mahomes was called for getting assaulted by one of the defensive men, aka isn't it pass interference? Not pass interference, but quarterback.
Roughing the passer?
Yep,
Roughing the passer?
Yep. So like roughing the passer, and he got it at the last minute. Like that guy was really animated too when that happened, and that cost them the game in a sense, and got us to Super Bowl 57. And then that's when everything else happened after that. We won Super Bowl 57, we won 58, and then tried 59. But like that's kind of what triggered that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. For Super Bowl 59, I'm going to say y'all didn't deserve it.
And I will agree to that because that's what happened to the Broncos, and I feel like that's what's going to happen to them. But we will have to see.
Well, I think that for the Broncos, they have the defense to keep them in it. It's just a matter of whether or not the offense with the backup quarterback will be able to have them stay in it.
Yeah.
But we now move to our second half of the color commentary, where we are doing not necessarily in Key and Peele substitute teacher style, because too many Rons done messed up, but it is coaching carousel roll call. And here are the head coach. So we're going to start with the head coaching jobs that are still open. The recently opened Buffalo Bills, as Sean McDermott was fired. The Cleveland Browns, the Baltimore Ravens, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Arizona Cardinals, and the Las Vegas Raiders. So here are the hirings roughly in order of when they occurred. Shortly after we got off podcast recording last week,
Yep.
the Giants eventually finalized their contract with John Harbaugh.
which I thought was funny because it's more of a rebound than really anything, as far as just how the Giants have operated for the past 10 years.
So Harbaugh has kind of an all-around background with offense, defense, and special teams compared to offensive-minded coach Brian Dable. The key players that the Giants have: Jackson Dart, Malik Neighbors, Cam Scattaboo, Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, and I also want to add Wandale Robinson to this as well, as he will be likely wide receiver number 2.
So really, he's the other nerd that Nelson is, or not Nelson. There's Bart. There's Millhouse. There's, I feel like it'd be Millhouse's distant cousin. That would be probably someone
Wait,
in there. But
you're
anyways,
calling? Are you calling Scattaboo here Millhouse, or is he Wiggum?
oh, he's Wiggum. That man is not afraid to put his skull on the line. He will literally headbutt anything. That's the whole meme. But the
All
creatine
right.
Caucasians is a whole nother dynamic with Jackson Dart and Cam Scattaboo.
Yep. And I find that the crucial point of success or failure is proper care health wise in terms of being able to maintain and keep Jackson Dart and Cam Scattaboo in healthy positions. I mean, Malik Neighbors as well, but and it's kind of nice to have John Harbaugh have a true number 1 wide receiver. But I also think that the reason why Dart especially is a critical point of success or failure for Harbaugh in New York is that he has not necessarily put Lamar Jackson in the best positions health wise. Dart is a little bigger, a lot stronger than Lamar, so he may be able to take some more punishment. But the key is going to be punishment management. And that's honestly like where proper care health wise kind of comes along. It's more so punishment management. Reduce the number of punishing blows, keep your players on the field. You'll likely have a better chance of winning more games.
I think part of also why John Harbaugh was so good at defense, because he was part of the Ray Lewis experiment, right? Where he ended up getting 2 Super Bowls.
Harbaugh only got 1.
But I was trying to think of maybe he was part of the Ray Lewis thing, but never mind.
No, no. The 2 Super Bowl coaches that won in Baltimore, John Harbaugh was the most recent, but the first Super Bowl was won by Brian Billick.
And was Ray Lewis a part of the Billick one? Probably
Ray
not.
Lewis, no, Ray Lewis was. Ray Lewis's final year was the Harbaugh one.
Oh, okay.
But Ray Lewis was in the early part of his career dealing with a murder trial during the Billick one.
Okay.
Yeah, so Ray Lewis was there in 2000s, and he was kind of that middle linebacker cornerstone of the Ravens defense. So Ray Lewis had been in Baltimore. Yeah, he was a rookie in 1996.
Because I was thinking that maybe for John Harbaugh, he had a little bit of experience with defensive and offensive, like you were saying, but like
Yeah.
mainly defensive because of Ed Reed and all those other guys.
Well, his bigger piece was honestly he was really a special teams coordinator for most of his time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Ray Lewis was a part of that 2000 Ravens Super Bowl 35 MVP and was also the defensive player of the year that year.
Okay. I just wasn't sure like what the timeline was, but I just knew the legacy with Ed Reed and Ray Lewis and all them before what happened now.
Oh, we were kids when Ray Lewis was coming up, so we
I
know
just
Ray
I used to
Lewis.
remember seeing the Sports Center clips where he was just going ape shit on the sideline, just like acting like an animal, just like going from its hind legs to just going rah rah
Oh
instead
yeah.
of doing what the Ravens do, which is caw caw.
No. Yeah, and now that we've mentioned Kevin Stefanski, we now will officially break down his roll call. The Falcons hire Kevin Stefanski, who was the former Cleveland Browns coach. So some of
Beeler.
the key huh. So some of the key players he has: Mr. Mustard, Bijan Robinson,
Bring me a
Drake
dream.
London, Drake London, the incredibly irrelevant until this season, Kyle Pitts, AJ Terrell, Michael Penix Jr., Kirko Chains, and Jesse Bates. And there were a lot of some young players along the defense as well that we could have added. But I think the critical success or failure, especially because Atlanta is transitioning from a defensive coach to an offensive coach, is I think it's going to be more so the true progression of Michael Penix Jr. Bijan Robinson is already an elite running back. Drake
I
London is a true number one wide receiver. Kyle Pitts, if he can find a way, and Stefanski's offense has done a great job of highlighting number one tight ends, especially because you had David Njoku and Harold Fannin there in Cleveland.
honestly,
But
I think I think if Penix is still hurt, it could affect the fact that Kirk Cousins is still the backup, but I think for sure the success is going to be around the offense, and but they still need to rebuild the defense because it's aging pretty horribly. But at the same time, they have potential
there's
with the
some players on
offense.
their late prime.
Yeah,
There's some players on the latter stretch of their prime. I do agree there. But I am saying that the progression of Michael Penix as a quarterback is what is paramount in whether or not Stefanski has a successful or failure or failed tenure in Atlanta.
I think he will have a decent tenure. It's just a matter of where the talent is at this point because there's a lot of rumors going around with Kyle Pitts being traded to the Chiefs. There's also just like other uncertainties with the program right now because of just what's happened in the past like couple of years. Like you've had a
I
lot
think
of
if you're Kevin
turnover.
Stefanski, I think if you're Kevin Stefanski, I think you try and lobby for your front office to hang on to Kyle Pitts. And that is because I think Kevin Stefanski's offense can find a way to get the most out of him. And my argument here, and I'm gonna make a case here. The case is going to be with none other than Harold Fannin himself. 72 receptions, 731 yards, 6 touchdowns. He was the leading receiver in Cleveland. Yes, that offense was not that good, but Harold Fannin is definitely like that as a rookie. And you had that out of a rookie tight end. Think of what you could do with Kyle Pitts. There's possibilities.
I think because you could say the same thing about Travis Kelsey in his rookie times as an NFL guy. I think, if anything, it's kind of similar, but in a different sense of it, like a different spice of it.
Yep. All right. Ready to move on to the next one?
Yes, sir.
Our next one is the Miami Dolphins hiring Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley. Some of the key players that they have. They still currently have Tua Tagovailoa on under contract, Devon Achane, Tyreek Hill, who's still under contract, Jalen Waddle, Chop Robinson, Bradley Chubb, and Minka Fitzpatrick. The crucial point of success or failure here for Miami with Hafley as coach. Where are you thinking, Ruckus?
Um, for Halfley being the coach, honestly,
Yep.
we'll just see. I'll just see it when I believe it because honestly, I think Mike McDaniel was their best chance to get a playoff spot, but it also just hurt them in the end because of the fact that Tua kept on pulling a Ralph Wiggum every chance he could, even though they paid the man a hefty amount just to be on their team. I don't think Tua turn the ball over is going to be there for much longer, but we'll see. We'll just see how they manage it, especially because they fired the main general manager that was a part of what was. And now they got to figure out how to fix what was and make it what it is now, but we'll see.
I think the biggest piece will be the defensive development across the board and restructuring what that defense is. Offensively, I would say hiring a good offensive coordinator that can maximize the potential. But if they do not have a true number one quarterback that they can rely on in the room, and there are enough quarterbacks in this year's draft class, draft it. Otherwise, definitely wait for next year and do not rush. Do not rush Jeff Hafley in development offensively. This is a marathon in fixing the Dolphins, not a sprint. And last but not least, the Titans hiring Robert Saleh as the Titans shift from an offensive minded head coach to a defensive minded head coach. Key players for them, there's not that many. Cam Ward, Tony Pollard, Jeffrey Simmons, and Kyer Elam. There are young wide receivers and tight ends there also for Tennessee. And there's a few players that we probably could have added.
Honestly,
but I think these were the most important.
I think for the Titans, it was probably a more wiser decision by the Titans because Mike Bergonzi is the former VP or really just assistant of Brett Veach, and to get the expertise from him, but also other people inside, like the Bears, they have a former Chiefs outside employee that gets insight on good talent, and that's been like the gold standard as of now is just copying the Chiefs because we've obviously had successful seasons and gone to Super Bowls and won them. But like as far as the Titans go, it's like ground zero in a sense, but better where they're like building from the ground up and they got Cam Ward, but they need to figure out what makes him tick but also protect him. So we'll just see what happens with what the Titans do with Robert Saleh as their new head coach, because obviously what they had before was not it.
Offensive coordinator wise, the Titans do need someone, and especially when it comes to a quarterback coach, that is a good quarterback whisperer because they have to develop Cam Ward. That, in terms of an offensive side, is paramount. You have the rookie court, you have the second year man now. Develop him, and then Sala will probably have a good amount of defensive development involved because Sala's a solid defensive coach, and I think there's room for development there in Tennessee, really on both sides of football. But I think you got to have a good quarterback whisperer for Cam Ward, and Sala can get some good development on the defense, especially with bringing in a healthy defensive coordinator for that. And I think that the Titans could mean some business and get a little better. And again, if you're the Tennessee Titans front office, this is a marathon, not a sprint.
Also, that's something to say about the Jets front office, because they've been sprinting a lot and not getting really far anywhere, but they sprinted on Sala and obviously tripped themselves a little bit, but I digress.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the team that has done the best with this is a marathon, not a sprint, are the Pittsburgh Steelers, ironically.
And God knows who's gonna become the head coach there. By the time that we present this knowledge to our people that listen to us, there might be a signing, and
There will be
I'm not
there
trying to
likely will
trigger
be
that.
more
I'm just saying
hirings
it's
that
gonna
will
probably happen,
there likely will be more hirings that we talk about next week. Or at least within the next couple.
or half
Eh,
hour from now.
Um well, who knows? But I don't think I see anything with that. I think the only thing that I'm seeing right now is it was Mike McDaniel potentially could be the offensive coordinator for the Chargers, but
Gross.
that's a thing for another time. We now can move on to what we've been watching and playing as we move into our lights camera action series segment. Ruckus.
I'll I'll start. All right. So for my playing, I've been just no lifing our creators. My favorite part now, because I pretty much gotten all the quests done. That shows you how much I've been no lifing it, because it's awesome. And I also started playing it with Saul, but the problem halfway, or meeting halfway with players that you, especially friends that you've known for a long time, want to play with you. The crappy part is, like, you get hooked into the game already and doing the quests, but you want to do them and just like progress without worrying about your other friends having to worry about it. Well, scratch that, because you're going to be sucked into it and just play through the whole thing. But the benefit is, at that point you get a friend that has gotten farther into the game and gathered materials enough to get the big ticket items and take out whatever is in its path. Problem is, you gotta deal with PvP and PvE, and when your friend that hasn't played much of the game tries to join you, you end up getting screwed over, and that's the hard part of it. But at the same time, I have done some bad a little bit. We could say Breaking Bad, where I just try to see how much damage I can do with a level 1 gun versus a gun that has been upgraded to the max and just repaired so much. Like, I feel like it's easier to kill someone than it is to kill a drone in that game, but I digress. Let's keep going.
All right, so what my other half and I have been watching together has been season 4 of both the British and American versions of The Traitors. I have found that between the two, I am loving the British game much more because the gameplay in it is not messy. The American gameplay this season is so messy. It's so bad. Like, meanwhile, the British are doing a great job of, they've got two traitors, and all of a sudden, they made a mistake. They've made a something that, if you're observant, they can potentially like, you could get out, you can get a key person out. But then the two players that are the traitors right now do a great job of coming up with another good smoke screen or finding a way to get the heat off of them. They're playing the game much more fundamentally sound, and all of the arguments for, say, banishing somebody, and the cases for murdering are logical, are all logical and make sense. I love how the British Trader season 4 has been structured. But as far as what I've been playing, on the PC, I've been doing Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. My Switch 2, I've been doing Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, and also prepping for some Mario Party down the line with Alex Man. And that is going to be something that'll be worthwhile once we get that going. But on top of that, I do have our lead in for the final segment as we round third and head for home. And we will open with the Dodgers signing Kyle Tucker. Are the Dodgers becoming a modern day Yankees?
Dude, they were a modern day Yankee like 3 years ago. Let's be honest here. Signing Kyle Tucker, it's almost like they're signing a bench guy that is overpaid. But we'll see what happens. I think he is
Like,
more than
Kyle
that, but
Tucker's good.
I'm just saying he's more than that, but it just feels like sometimes when he's injured, he just kind of sits there and looks pretty. But other than that, he's a pretty good athlete, and he's been
The
compared to, wasn't it, a former Red Sox, God damn it, I forgot his name.
but thinking Johnny Damon?
No, earlier, like,
Well, I
Ted Williams.
mean, Ted Williams.
They have
Ted
a
Williams.
they
Yeah,
have
that's
a
not
they
a
have a they have a similar swing. That's what I'm trying to get at.
yeah,
But anyways,
yeah. But here is where I'm at with the Dodgers in this. The key last name that normally would come about with this old school Yankees with buying out every single big name player at this point, the Dodgers are pulling some Steinbrenner moves. That being George Steinbrenner.
yeah.
Yeah, like it is very Steinbrenner in a way. The Mets are the winners of the sweepstakes for Bo Bichette. Is this really anything for them?
I mean, if anything, it maybe exits Francisco Lindor because he's getting into his twilight years. But other than that, like, I don't know. I am not the owner of the Mets. I don't know whether this means that the Mets will actually produce more without Pete Alonso? Who the F knows?
I mean, the Mets lost out on Kyle Tucker to the Dodgers, but the Mets beat out the Philadelphia Phillies for Bo Bichette. But I think that this does a very interesting number for. I think it does an interesting number in the sense of where do you put it? Like, where do you truly put it? Because shortstop, I mean, you still have Francisco Lindor. Third base, you've got Vientos. Second base, you have Jeff McNeil, Luis Angel Acuna. I mean, Brett Beatty and Mark Vientos over there at third. So, really, unless you put him in as a DH to replace Jesse Winker or something along those lines, or have him play first, or make him play first to replace the polar bear, it feels very limited for what the Mets can truly do.
Yep.
And to close out, Carlos Beltran and Andrew Jones are going to Cooperstown, joining Jeff Kent in this 2026 class. How are you liking how this class is shaping out?
Good for them. I hope for the best. Even though they represent different teams, like Carlos Beltran representing the Mets, good for him. Andrew Jones, good for him. They both deserve it, and so does Jeff Kent. That's all I had to say.
Yeah, Jeff Kent, I believe Jeff Kent will go in as a Giant over the other teams that he played for. Andrew Jones, that is nostalgia for the 90s Braves. The 90s Braves get another one. The Ted Turner nostalgia trip of having the Braves on TBS every day when I was a kid. Cooperstown gets another one.
Yep.
And I couldn't be any happier about that. And Beltran's a nice plus, but for me, this was more in happiness for Andrew Jones. And on that note, that will wrap up episode number 171 of Ruckus and the Menace. I'm Menace the Menace.
And I am Ruckus, always called it a ruckus.
And until the next one, hugs and hand pounds, everybody.
Deuces.